Well, hello, friends. Well, here we go again. Dear Burt, we've got a few more questions here. This first one from Ronald Sharon. I've just finished reading and listening to your Mindbox series. Interesting stuff. And what is this question? This question is I think the reason I end up making only slight progress is that deep inside I may be afraid or unwilling to succeed. Because if I do succeed, then I have to face the fact that I have been holding myself back and I'm the only one to blame. How can I get past that fear of being successful? Keep up the good work, Ronald Sharon. Well, it appears to me that you're talking here about self-sabotage. What is self-sabotage? People very often get in the way of themselves. They limit themselves in some area of their life, successful, whatever. Why would they do that? Well, this goes back to our old trio of sin, guilt, and punishment. And it works something like this. Sometime in the past, some authority figure has told you, you should do this, you should not do that. And you do the thing that you shouldn't have done, or you don't do the thing that you should have done, usually at a very early age. Well, what happens is you get a feeling that maybe I should do it again. Do it correctly. And that feeling is called guilt. Guilt is simply a compulsion to repeat an act correctly, the act being a sin. Now, if that's as far as it went, there wouldn't be any problems. But there's a third member of the tribe, and that member we call punishment. Punishment is simply a reminder, the way that we're looking at it. Hey there, you've been a bad boy, you've been a bad girl. You didn't repeat the act correctly. You didn't do what you should have done. Or you can't remove what you did do. And so punishment comes in the way of limitations. Why? Because you're the best one to punish yourself. And it comes in the form of, I only deserve so much. If you're limiting yourself with respect to success, I only deserve so much with respect to success in life. If something happens, you get more than you expect, you do something to mess it up, or something happens to mess it up. Some people, I only deserve so much in the form of relationships. They limit themselves with friends. People limit themselves with health. I only deserve so much with respect to health. Well, now, that's the problem. What's the solution? How can we get about that? Well, you go back to the beginning. The beginning was the incident that caused it in the first place. Well, how do you know that? How could you possibly know where the incident lies? Well, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. The best way to get to it is to simply meditate. Why? When you meditate, you're concentrative. And you tell yourself, using the bhaga, using the tongue on the roof of the mouth, I want to go back to the time this problem first started. And suddenly you get a mental image of something going on. There will be other people there, perhaps, an event, something that you did that you shouldn't have done. Something that you should have done that you didn't do. It's like a movie of the mind. Well, if it's a movie of the mind, it's in your mind, you can control it. Just rerun it, but this time rerun it the way it should have been. Now, will that alone remove your limitations? In some instances, yes. In some instances, it works immediately. But what if it doesn't? Well, that might not have been the incident. Do it again. Just get a little contemplative, and you do that by meditating. Just meditate and just tell yourself you want to go back to that time when this came about and rerun the movie. It's actually quite simple. Let's see what else we have. Dear Burt, thank you for taking the time and trouble to answer a nagging question that is bothering me. Why do many manifestation gurus insist that both the subconscious and the universe only knows and understands the present time and not the future? What is a proper method of manifesting? Is it better to give a date to work with and strongly expect a positive outcome manifested? Absolutely. Always. I always put a date into my programming. And this business of people saying that the universe doesn't know the difference between the future and the past and only knows the present, well, there's a little truth in that also. In quantum jumping, we believe that there's an infinity of time, which means that everything is happening right now. So everything is in the present. When you see the future in some effect, in some universe, that is the present. But no, I recommend that you do put a date in it. If you're doing a program, put a date. You don't want it to happen on that date. That's too limiting. You want it to happen by that date. But do put a somewhat realistic date. Don't put tomorrow if it's going to take a year to do it. Put a realistic date. Always put a date in. Hi, Burt. Where here is a paraplegic that is asking a question. Name is Dross. And apparently he is having a problem with his exhaling business because he cannot inhale and count his breath. A lady, an experienced meditator, once told me that the only real prerequisite for meditation is mind. I stick to it, yet I'd like to hear your confirmation or negation of the issue. Thanks for the opportunity by Dras. Dras, you don't have to take a breath. For most people, it's easier, kind of write it down. I personally don't do that. I just close my eyes. Your mind is everything. It's true. The woman told you correctly. Your mind is all. So just tell yourself, I am going to a state of meditation. Close your eyes, and you'll be there. You want to meditate with your eyes open? That you can do too. Stare at a spot on a wall, or just defocus your eyes. But you do not have to take that breath. It's all in the mind anyway. I hope that settles the issue for you. You can meditate at any time. You don't have to worry about your breath, your breathing. From Diane. Dear Burt, we met 10 years ago when my son took your Class for Kids program in Studio City. At that time, I bought your full tape collection. I've listened to your tapes many times, etc. I've worked with your NLP program and love it. Gave the best speech of my career by using your method of stepping into someone I consider successful. Well, that's nice. Here's my question. We have a question. I've been in business for over 7 years, and in this economy, my company, which was once very successful, is no longer sustainable. I've put all of our funds into growing this business, which I am now closing. What are the best techniques to regain my financial abundance as quickly as possible? I'm going to try and give you a 1-minute answer here because we don't have a whole lot of time. You've been in business, so you have the knowledge. You learned a lot. You're going out of business, so you did a lot of things wrong. You might say fail, but you didn't fail. You learned a lot. There's no such thing as failure. There's only learning experience. You know a whole lot about business. You know what not to do. I would advise you to start another business. Now, you don't have to start it large. It doesn't have to start big. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you start very small to the extent of your abilities and your economic situation. But do it again. Don't give up after one go at it. You've learned a lot. You have learned so much. You don't even realize how much you've learned. Start another business, but don't do it the same way. Do it the same way, you have to expect the same result. So do it different, but do it. Go into another business. Well, that's about all we have time for. I'll see you next Friday, when we have another Dear Burt. Those of you who have some questions, I will do my best to get to as many as possible and hopefully answer them to your satisfaction. Thank you very much. I'm Burt Goldman, wishing you a good day, a wonderful week, a satisfactory month, and a successful and healthy 2009. Thank you for listening and watching.